What's up, everybody? It is Casey with Two Worlds Podcast, and with me, as always, is the John Connor to my T800. It's Jake. How you doing, man?
I'm great, buddy. Welcome back.
Yeah, see, that's why I was the T800 because I'm always gonna be back.
Well, tell the listeners, did you have a good time?
I did. It was a lot of fun, and it was nice actually getting us to listen to the podcast instead of going, "Oh crap, my audio sounds terrible. I need to edit this and try to fix this." So that was nice.
Yeah, your temporary co-host replacement had a good time doing it, and hopefully the
Good.
listeners enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I didn't listen to it on YouTube though. I need to. But did you add a fun story during the old advertisement?
I didn't. I was like, that's just a me and Casey thing. Some things can't be broken.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, let's get into the news. There was like absolutely nothing this week, so I've got a couple tiny things, um, but I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, I still have stuff from last week. I told Jake, I was like, "Hey, you can just read it, man." And he must have been like, looked at him and like, I don't know what he's talking about. None of this makes sense.
Oh, I read
So,
that. I read that as you didn't want me to read it.
oh no, I was like, yeah, just go ahead, dude. If you like want, or I can just do it this week. I just assume that you're like trying to read it. Like this might make sense to him, but I
Oh,
don't know.
oh well.
But Batwoman or Batwing will be in CW's Batwoman. There's like a little clip of the like a little picture of the costume and stuff. Looks pretty cool. It's really hard to do the Batwing costume and make it look dumb though, because that is one of the best costumes. So it's neat that he's gonna be in there. I mean, it's still not enough to really make me go, need to see this show because it still just sounds like a train wreck.
Yeah, I I don't know if anyone's gonna be like, oh, Batwing's in it. Well, now I'm gonna watch it after all the terrible stuff that I heard about it. But
Yeah.
maybe.
And then there's like been a lot of rumors and rumblings going on that Dead Man's going to be getting a show on HBO Max, which could be super awesome. It's one of those ones where it's like kind of seems like a no-brainer if you want to do like a show about a superhero that, like it doesn't need to have a huge budget, really. Like heck, that's something they could have done in the 90s and still made it look good.
Hmm.
So I think this is a no-brainer. It should be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I don't know that. Like, I think it would be good, but it would be one of those where it's like, oh, it ended too soon. It was really good, but nobody watched it because they don't know who he is.
Yeah, no, I agree. But see, that's the thing too with like it's not like Swamp Thing where it needed that gigantic budget. This one really doesn't. I mean,
Yeah,
and it's gonna have J.J. Abrams behind it, so he's gonna give it a giant budget and then give it
right.
some lens flares and some other nonsense that it doesn't
Well,
need.
hopefully he only gives it a big budget.
Yeah,
That's all we need from him.
yeah. Um, so The Rock posted a teaser for Crypto, and it named off the cast. So there's like Kevin Hart, Vanessa Bayer, John Krasinski, Kate McKinnon, and Keanu Reeves, and a bunch of other people that I didn't know who they were. So I was like, I'm not going to put their names on here, but it looks like a fun movie, and it's animated, so we don't get the Rock workout that I wanted. So I'm pretty disappointed about that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I saw it and it looked fun. I think it's going to be a really fun movie, and I think it could be huge for DC with like kids and stuff. Like
yeah,
this could be the kids movie of the year.
yeah. And then another rumor: She-Hulk. The She-Hulk show is going to introduce Hulk's son, Scar. That could be cool. Like Scar is one of those characters where it's like Marvel has this problem of just dropping the ball sometimes, and it's like that's such a neat concept. And boy, did they drop the ball hard with this character. So I I have a feeling this is gonna be if he does show up, it won't be done well type of thing. I hate to say it, but that's
Yeah, it made him very popular at work over the this week. Like, here's how it went down. Some guy came in first thing, like was waiting for me to open the door on Tuesday, went right over to the Scar section, picks out the number one issue. I had 2 copies
Nice.
and buys them. And anytime someone buys more than one of the same copy of a back issue, I immediately go to eBay because I'm like, okay, what just got past me now? And it was that one. And it's like it's not doing like that much. It's it's like 15 or 20, but the thing that really sucks is his first appearance is What If Planet Hulk from like 2008 or something like that.
Yeah.
Dude, I sold like 3 of them like 2 months ago when nobody cared. They just wanted it because it was a What If book and those are popular. Now
Mhm.
that book is over $100.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I think I might have number one because I think I
Mhm.
got that at Walden Books like forever ago when Walden Books were still a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things where it's like that could have been awesome,
Hmm.
and it just didn't amount to anything. But the speaking of things, the Titans trailer dropped. Did you get to watch that? Because I didn't watch it all the way through because I was on vacation and I wasn't trying to be on my phone too much.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't much to it. It was
Yeah.
like maybe 30 seconds and you barely get anything other than like we know Red Hood's gonna be there and you see Joker and a crowbar. Or like it's like a silhouette of Joker.
Oh, okay. Do you think Joker's gonna actually be in it, or is it gonna be just silhouette type of stuff?
I don't think he will be. I think they're letting people think he will be.
Yeah.
And if that gets more people to watch it, then so be it, because it's a good show. But I think it'll just be a flashback, and we'll see the outline of somebody beating Jason to death.
Yeah. Dude, I just had like a really stupid but funny thought. Is like, what if someone's watching like saw that Joker is gonna be in Titans, and they come into your shop like, hey, do you have the first appearance of Joker? Because I have a feeling it's gonna go up in price, and I'll just like cut you in on it if you like 10% if you can sell it to me right now.
Yeah, Casey, we'll do this early. Tell me Joker's first appearance.
Wasn't it Detective Comics 27 or whatever? Batman's first appearance? Or is it Batman number one?
It's Batman number one.
All right. Because that's Robin's first appearance too, right?
No, Robin's is detective. I think it's still in the 20s. Oh no, it was 38. And
Oh,
that's the
okay.
one where he's like coming out of
Yeah,
the
he's
drum thing, which is such a good cover.
it is. So there's a leaked Thor Love and Thunder a t-shirt, and it gave like our first look at Natalie Portman, or as I've written in the notes, Natalie Thorman. But it looks comic accurate. Like that's basically all you can really say about it. I still don't like Natalie Portman being Thor. She should just say Jane Foster and then do the transformation, because a doctor that's gonna be jacked as Thor and then just like trying to do, I mean, she's not doing surgery in this universe, she's doing sciencey doctor stuff, but it's like doesn't work quite as well. Like, you need just do the transformation, but Natalie Portman wouldn't be on for that.
I mean, she could just be Thor from another dimension
I
too.
think
Like
that's
they
I could
don't
really
need.
I
Yeah.
could really see them doing that since they're trying to incorporate the multiverse. Um, okay, and then Tom Spazielia is going to be the showrunner for Amazon's Silk series. I forgot that this was a thing. I don't know if you did, that the Amazon was making a Silk series.
Had no idea.
Okay, because like I thought we talked about
I
it
mean, we probably
once.
have. I just don't
Yeah,
remember.
and I'm just like, man, I forgot this was the thing. But he was the showrunner on Watchmen, Ash versus the Evil Dead, and I think he worked on a bunch of other shows too. So it's like it should be pretty sweet. I heard Watchmen's awesome. I didn't get I haven't watched it yet because I'm like, man, I hear how like depressingly racist it is at times, and I'm like, "Ugh, I have to be in a mood to just have my day ruined, if I want to watch this." So haven't got there yet.
Yeah, I feel you. Um, I do want to watch it too, but it's just one of those things, man, where when it comes out and everyone's talking about it and it's the best thing ever, and I just know that if I watch it, I won't like it.
Yeah.
And that's a toxic trait that I have, but at least I know I have it. So
Yeah.
I have to let the hype die down. All right, let me get through a couple of my
Yeah,
small.
I think my stuff now is the new stuff, so I think
Yeah.
we're good.
Um, so this got a lot of people excited. Nick Spencer is going to be off of Amazing Spider-Man in September. Like half of my customers really like Nick Spencer on Spider-Man, and it turns out the other half really don't like him. So
That's really surprising. I mean, I've been hearing some of the stuff that he's been doing, but I don't know. I like Nick Spencer, the stuff I've read of him, so I figured he
mhm.
would do this very well.
Yeah, I like the stuff I've read, in particular Secret Avengers, but they're not. You're not going to knock it out of the park on every series.
Here's a genuine question. Isn't this book coming out like 3 times a month? Do you think like oversaturation might be part of the problem?
um, I don't know, man, because like the Spider-Man people, they don't mind the amount it comes out, and the people that enjoy the book are like all about that, like
Yeah.
how we are when Batman comes out twice a month. But um, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you don't like the direction it's going and it comes out more than once a month, then you really don't like what's going
Yeah.
on. But anyway, no one's been announced as the replacement creative team on that, so I'm sure we'll hear very, very soon. I'm surprised we haven't already. And then, um, I, dude, I was scraping the barrel for stuff this week. Um, the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic comic is coming to an end, and it's going to be
That means this
replaced.
podcast is coming to an end. The friendship's not magic anymore.
I know, right? It will be replaced by My Little Pony Generations.
Oh, okay.
So, My Little Pony is not gone. It's just going to
Yeah,
be reborn.
thought you're gonna be like My Little Pony Blood Feud. Like their
Tell me
their
you wouldn't read the
friendship is
first issue.
dead.
And then my last little thing, this I will be getting for myself, but there is a Milestone Compendium Volume 1 coming out in September. It's going to be a soft cover collection of the original Milestone titles. I don't know if they'll be in like any sort of special reading order or how they're going to do it, but um, I mean, a lot of those single issues are $8 to $12 a piece now. So if you've always wanted to read some of those, this is going to be the most cost-effective way to do that.
Nice. Okay, so a bunch of set photos leaked for the Flash movie, and so like there's like Ezra Miller in a suit, Michael Keaton also wearing a suit. Ezra Miller does have the Flash ring, it looks like, in one of the pictures, which that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
The the big thing though is we get our first look at Sasha Cal as Supergirl. Almost said Superman. I'm like, that'd be weird, but the suit is much more inspired by Lara Lane Kent, who I didn't know was a person, but she's from the Injustice universe, I guess. Tom Taylor made her. He probably killed her too in the same time he made her. But yeah, so like it looks, I'm going to say fine, because it is still a set photo of someone wearing a superhero costume, and those never look as good as they're going to. The weird part is they gave her abs, and they do not look good in the costume at all. But what did you think of it, man?
I agree about the abs. They look so fake that it's just not good, but I do think the rest is pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think she's gonna be awesome. And I think it's gonna look like right now I would probably give like a 5 or 6 out of 10. If I'm being honest. That just means it's probably gonna be a 9 or 10 out of 10 once it's actually on the screen, because you're gonna get all of the special effects. They're gonna make the abs look normal, and all this other stuff. It's gonna look a lot better. So we just have to hope she acts well.
Yeah, I agree. I know that you're going to get into this very, very quickly, but I really like how most of the superhero costumes in the DC universe have that same sort of feel to it. Like,
Yeah.
they're all the
No.
heroes anyway. It's cool.
Yeah, not 100% agree. And I think that's really probably that has to be a Zack Snyder thing.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it. But while we're on the subject of costumes, they showed off the updated Shazam family costumes, and those look pretty sweet. And it turns out they changed the actress for Mary Marvel when she's Mary Marvel.
Really?
Yes, and because before they had an like a slightly older actress than young Mary. Now it's just gonna be the same actress. They're just gonna give her different makeup and do her hair different, which I'm fine with. I was like, why didn't you do
Yeah.
that the first time?
Right.
You
That's
know?
kind of what I'm thinking. Because I thought she was definitely old enough to be
Yeah.
Mary, but
So yes, I mean
they do
like
look cool though. They look
yeah,
really cool.
yeah. So I think that's really gonna be. But I'm pretty hyped for that movie
Dude, can I
in
also
general.
say that the guy that wears the black suit, that is like a crazy glow up. It's like, dude, they clearly just put like this crazy like hunky model dude in the black suit and they're just like, here's this kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's so funny.
that is great. And then on the subject of movies, Aquaman 2 officially has a title. It's going to be called Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So, I mean, that's one of those things where I'll be hyped for it once I see a trailer. Because right now it's like, I like the first Aquaman. I like Jason Momoa. I like the director. It's like
James Wan.
James Wan. I want to say David Wan, but like I know that's not right. But I like him. It's just kind of like that this title's not going to make me go, oh my god, there's a Lost Kingdom.
See, it does get me more hyped though,
Really
and I'll tell
awesome.
you why. Because that tells me that they're going to do more stuff like underwater and
Yeah,
not up on the surface. And that's what I really liked about that first movie. That place where they go and find Nicole Kidman's character, Aquaman's mom, right?
yeah. Aquamom.
Aquamom. It was cool. I like the mystery of this new place. And now you're telling me number two has a lost kingdom. Now I'm like more intrigued because it
I
means we
got you,
get
man.
more of that fantasy aspect of
Well,
it.
good. It'd be really funny if now it's like, no, they're actually going to Florida to look for El Dorado.
Right? Like the lost kingdom in Detroit.
Yeah. So Jeff Lemire announced today via Twitter he has a new project. He's gonna be written and illustrated by him. It's gonna be called Maze Book. It's gonna be through Dark Horse Comics. It's gonna be 5 48-page issues. Sounds like it's gonna be something that's right up my alley. I really love Jeff Lemire. Should be pretty sweet. You know, like there's times where his creator owned books that are like he's drawing it and writing it, they get a little insane, but I hope it's gonna be really good. I'm gonna have to check it out because some of his stuff like that's some of the best stuff.
Yeah. I think it's cool that Dark Horse is sort of like the Jeff Lemire creator owned publisher. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I like that they let him do all that. Because, like, if you think about the universe that's been built up for Black Hammer, it's like, holy
Mm-hmm.
crap. Like, that went from a 6 issue series to like a universe now.
Yeah.
Um, so that's cool. Good for him.
Yeah. And this is my last bit, and it's kind of a head scratcher. I'm not gonna lie. I really don't know how to feel about it. Warren Ellis and Ben Templesmith are teaming back up to finish a comic that the last issue of it came out in 2008. It's called Fell. I don't know if you've ever read it. Liz had it. She let me read it, so I don't know if she let you read it or not
Mm-mm.
back when she was reading comics. But like it's a really good series. Like Warren Ellis is really good, but still kind of like, really, Ben, you're doing this with him now after all that stuff that came out about him.
Well, I
It's
mean,
not a good look.
that's why Warren's working on it because now comics won't let him write, and also he was kicked off of Castlevania, so he's like, guess I'll finish this book.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like I said, kind of torn on it because it's one of those things where it's really good and it's like one of those books that's right up my alley. But Warren Ellis. But that is all. Oh, there is one bit of news, and I might cut it. We'll talk about it afterwards, but I'm just going to spring it on you. Did you hear about the scene that was cut from the Harley Quinn series?
No.
Okay. So this is hilarious to me. And like I said, if you go, Casey, this is not appropriate, and I'll be like, fine, I'll cut it. Not a big deal. But there's going to be a scene in the new Harley Quinn series because it's so edgy where Batman goes down on Catwoman.
Mm.
And then DC's like, no, heroes don't do that. You got to cut that out of there. Okay.
Yeah.
That was the scene that that's what they were going to cut and all that stuff. And then Zack Snyder tweets a picture of Batman going down on Catwoman and he goes, canon.
I love that he did that.
Yeah. So dang funny.
Watch the whole Snyderverse gets to continue on that basis.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah, no, that's what the real heroes do.
I saw something where the Harley Quinn comic writers or something like that, or maybe it was the show writers, were saying that it's canon in their universe too, but now I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
I think it's crazy that all that was trending.
I know. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, Twitter was really bored last week.
That's a fact. Yeah, that's another thing. Speaking of Twitter outrage, Anthony Mackie, he I guess people were, because like when anyone is of the same sex and they're friends, Twitter goes, oh, they're gay together. That's how their brain automatically works. And they were like, oh, Anthony Falcon and Winter Soldier, they're gay. We've decided this via the internet, and that's how it is. And Anthony Mackie's like, I don't get how. He's like, because he even was very nice about homosexuality when he said it. He was like, I don't get how something as wonderful as homosexuality can always be misconstrued as when two people are just friends, and people get so obsessed with this and they freak out over it, and then they just want to make everyone gay. I guess I don't get it. It's something like that. He worded it much smarter and nicer than I did, and then people lost their minds over it. It's just like, no, he's 100% right, guys. He's not saying anything wrong.
There's nothing about that show where I was like, there's some weird tension there.
Yeah.
Not even one time.
Now, after the Moon Knight series comes out, and Oscar Isaac, and they're like, yeah, Moon Knight is totally gay with every guy on there. I'll be like, probably, because Oscar Isaac, he just has sexual tension with every human person. That's what I'm convinced of at this point after seeing him in Two Things.
I don't know, man. What a time to be alive, am I right?
Right. I mean, people just have to find things to be mad about when their ships aren't true. Speaking of, if anyone has any weird ships, pictures of DeviantArts from this podcast, feel free to share.
Oh, feel free to tag Casey personally in those.
We'll retweet the best ones.
Will you stop?
Yes, I will.
Oh man. All right. I think that brings us to the end of the news. So we're gonna take our ad break and we'll be back to talk comics.
All right, man. So I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You had the same LL Bean backpack I have that I still use. You had to retire yours, right? Did the inside of yours start just coming apart?
Oh yeah.
Okay, because mine hadn't been doing that, and then when I went on the vacation, I pulled out the comics that I had brought, and they just had the inside blue of my backpack all just over. I'm like, dang it.
Yeah, that's how you know.
Yeah,
that's how you know it's time.
Because I thought your strap broke. I thought that was the big reason behind you getting rid of it.
Well, that too. That also happened. But man, that backpack was a trooper. I had it for years.
Yeah, mine was from I think the 4th grade, and I mean I stopped using it for a while, so it's I didn't use it nonstop like you did.
Yeah.
But I was started using it again. This is nice having a backpack at the cons, and that was like my free carry-on that I had, and then I was like, dang, this is not good.
All right. Welcome back, Casey. Let's talk the comics that we read this week, man. Which ones did you get through?
Whew, I got through a lot. So first on the flight, my good pal Jacob Dilly got me a Reckless book, Friend of the Devil, and I read that on the plane ride to and from Daytona. And then after that, I read Good Asian, Future State Gotham, Far Sector, Batman Detective Comics, Justice League Last Ride, Batman Urban Legends, The Joker, Godzilla, Monsters and Protectors, 6 Sidekicks of Trigger Keaton, Static Season 1, Ultra Mega. I'm going to put Static Season 1 at the back because I'm sure you read that. Stillwater, The Mini Deaths of Laila Starr, Catwoman, and Flash. What about you, man?
I read Mighty Valkyries #3, Star Wars #14, Sonic the Hedgehog 41, Seven Swords #1, Norse Mythology Volume 2 #1, and Catwoman 32 and Static Season 1 #1.
Nice. All right. So since I have stuff that he talked about already, I'm not going to go into huge detail. I'm basically just going to do a do I think you should read it or shouldn't you type of thing, and then we'll go into our new books. So I don't think Good Asian came out this week. It came out the week I was gone, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So Good Asian, read it. It's awesome. It's one of the best books out there right now. I'm disappointed Jake hasn't read it. And then Future State Gotham. The art's good in it. The story itself, I'm like kind of so-so on. The backup story, again, I was just kind of so-so. Like, I don't know who the heck his Robin is in it. I didn't know that was a thing that he had, but like I said, it's so-so. I would say read it if you cared about Future State. If you didn't care about it at all, pass. Far Sector, #12. This is the end of it. I'm going to say don't read this if you haven't read any other Far Sector, but pick up the trades from Comic Headquarters. It's really good. Batman Detective Comics, 137. This is got some beautiful art. The main story is pretty awesome, but there's like 2 backup stories in it, and one's not good, and the other one's like kind of pointless. And so and then like the end, there's like one part in it that I was like, this is not something Batman would do at all. Declaring like as he's punching someone, saying he's Bruce Wayne, basically. That was kind of dumb, but it was still pretty solid. So like, if you've been digging this story, I guess read it, but it's not something you have to go out of your way for. Justice League Last Ride, I love it. This wasn't as good as the first issue, but still really good in my opinion. And I actually skipped when Jake was talking about it because I was like, I don't want any spoilers for this book. But yeah, like I said, I loved it, and I'd say pick it up. Pick up the first issue too if you can. Batman Urban Legends. Did you read this one? Because when I was skipping, I might have skipped over you were talking about this.
No, because I sold out of it and didn't get the chance to read it.
Okay. Well, I read the first, like all the stories except for the Tim Drake story, because like I'm not the biggest Tim Drake guy, and it looked very chatty, and I had a lot of stuff to read that day. So I was just like, I'll skip this and get back to it, and I just haven't got back to it. But the Grifter story is still fantastic. The Chip Zdarsky Batman story, still great. And there's a Batwing story, which is pretty fine. So I'd say pick it up for sure. And then the Joker, I liked it. Didn't like as much as Jake, but it's another one. Like, I wouldn't say this is one that you have, like, that would make you have to buy it. But like, if you've enjoyed the rest of the Joker stuff, you're going to enjoy this. That Punchline story that Jake didn't read, he's not missing much, and you won't either if you're reading it. Basically, it's just like Punchline, gets beat up by Orca, and then she goes, well, guess what? Queen of Spades or whoever she is I've planned for this too. Orca's on my team now, and all of your cronies are on my team now, and I'm better than you, and then we're gonna kill you. And that's basically what happens, and it's pretty stupid.
You could
But
play Punchline in a movie.
I mean, that's my next cosplay, so I'm glad you said it. But yeah, so like it's perfectly fine. I would say read it if, like I said, if you're invested in this book, for sure you need to read it. If you're just kind of like, I'm not sure if I should keep it or not, you really don't have to. But that's the old stuff. And you want to hop in your first book? You want me to hop in?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, man.
All right, Sonic the Hedgehog, number 41. Story was done by Ian Flynn and art was done by Adam Bryce Thomas. I wasn't ready for issue 41 to come out so quickly because issue 40 was just last week. But anyway, the Deadly Six are back, which is Zavok and his 5 cronies. This was basically just like a filler issue where Zavok is gathering the Deadly Six back together after they were dispersed like 20 issues ago after the metal virus hit. So we just see what Zavok has been up to, and then him getting back together with his friends, and Sonic fighting Dr. Robotnik in like a big snowman robot. And yeah, then Tails calls him and is like, the Deadly Six are back. And Sonic's like, I'll be there shortly. And that was the issue. So it was totally fine. It was just the start of the next arc and not too much happened. So 6 out of 10, but like I didn't hate it. Just not much happened.
Yeah. Now, do you think Sonic, like the IDW books, like especially like with Sonic, would do well to do it kind of like the Marvel way, where like this would just have been a one shot since it was the next week after the last issue came out, and you said it was dealing with the Deadly Six and all that stuff, and it was less Sonic centered, and if they do that more often instead of just having their main Sonic book.
I mean, Sonic was in this enough. They were sprinkling in his fight with Robotnik enough that they can keep it the way it did. I don't know that it would work as well as a one shot, but um, I don't know. I don't know if it would matter or not, to be honest.
Yeah. You don't know if that would actually, because like with Marvel, it makes sense that's pump up the sales, but with Sonic, it might not actually matter that it's pumping up the sales.
Yeah, I mean, I do appreciate that it's still just like the same series. Like
Yeah,
it's nice.
I got you, man. And so next for me is Godzilla, Monsters and Protectors, and I got 2 covers because I have a best friend that slings comics for a living. So I have the movie cover, which is fantastic, and then I have this cover, which I didn't know was going to be a thing, but it just looks incredible.
So that is actually the 1 in 10 incentive variant that
Ooh.
I just thought I'd let you have.
Well, thank you, man. You're very, very kind. This is like one of those things where it's like I want to love this book as much as I love my dog, and I kind of like it. I just don't care about the main characters at all because they're children, and it's like know-it-all children at that, which I don't really like kids that much, and ones that think they're smarter than me, even if they are, I like even less. So like that's not great. But we get some Biolante versus Godzilla fighting, which is pretty sweet. And then the Shobijin, the little fairies, are trying to find someone to help them do stuff. So that was pretty interesting too. It's like I said, it's fine. It's one of those books where it's like I have like there's like little people in my life, like little kids, that I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna buy this trade for you for Christmas from my friend that sells comics for a living. So yeah, I'd probably give it a. I'll just go with it. I'll copy Jake and say a 6 out of 10 because it is what it is.
Yeah. All right. Next, I will talk about Seven Swords. This was written by Evan Doherty and um, art was done by Ricardo Latina. So the writer actually wrote Snow White and the Huntsman, Divergent, and then the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. So I didn't know that going in. I learned that after the fact, which I thought was kind of neat. Um, so let me show you the the cover. Pretty neat cover.
Yeah.
I picked it up because it just looked neat, and I like a good old swashbuckling tale sometimes. I wanted to pull up uh, the official bio from Aftershock to tell you what this is about because I just can't do it justice. So it's got a lot of characters from like old swashbuckling stories, like Three Musketeers stuff and things like that. So a weary and jaded um, D'Artagnan, who was the fourth musketeer and last musketeer, is drawn into a final conflict with the wicked Cardinal Richelieu, whose ruthless quest for power has led him to the supernatural. But the last musketeer can't defeat these infernal enemies alone. To save the world, he'll need to join forces with seven iconic swashbuckling heroes: Don Juan, Captain Blood, Cyrano de Bergerac, to name a few. Seven swords who must overcome their host of differences and work together if they have any hope of thwarting Richelieu's diabolical plans. So it's like all these swashbuckling, like pirate heroes from all these different stories teaming up together to defeat an evil Roman cardinal who's like dabbling in supernatural stuff. So it's pretty cool.
That does sound pretty
Um,
awesome.
yeah. So I mean, the art's crazy. Like this, the artist is very similar to Dan Mora, in my opinion, which is very high praise. So I'm all in on this one. There's nothing else I can add to it. If what I said has you intrigued, then pick it up. Otherwise, it's probably not for you. But I thought it was really cool. Um, it does jump around a little bit, and if you're not familiar with some of the characters, like I'm not, then it gets a little confusing. But I think it's just to introduce them all, and
Yeah.
everything will like come together later. So I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. Definitely cool enough for me to keep going.
Nice. So when you were talking about, I was like, I'm gonna Google. I'm gonna have a killer Three Musketeers joke. So it's like, what is the stuff that's inside the Three Musketeers that makes it so light and airy? So I Googled that, and it was like moose. I'm like, I can't. If I make a reference to this, he's not gonna get it. This won't work. This is gonna fall flat. So I'm just not gonna even bring it up. But now I'm bringing it up. All right. So, oh, by the way, I need to say who wrote the Godzilla book. That was by Eric Burnham, and Dan Schuing was on the art. And then on to the six sidekicks of Trigger Keaton. This is by Kyle Starks and Chris Schweizer. And so it's like basically this dude who was like, I'm not going to say Walker Texas Ranger because he did way more TV shows than Chuck Norris, but he was basically just like, he did shows like that, and like all of the old 90s and 80s show, like David Hasselhoff's one show, the Knight Rider. He did a show like that, and he had these sidekicks in all these shows. But the dude, unlike, I mean, like David Hasselhoff, I hear Chuck Norris is just a gem of a person, but is such a jerk to all of his old sidekicks, so that when he dies, most of them are happy he's dead. And then it's turned out though, his newest sidekick was trained to be a detective because this show's a detective show. So he's like kind of looking over and it's like, yeah, he didn't commit suicide. It's murder. So then he's convinced it's murder. So he's trying to figure out which one did it. And it's a whole thing. It's a lot of fun.
You
Like
just
it's,
made it sound way cool.
yeah, no, like It's a lot, like I said, it's a lot of fun. I think you should be reading it if you like kind of like murder mysteries with like kind of like less serious. Like this is not like an Ed Brubaker murder mystery.
Yeah.
But it's like because the art's kind of like a little bit more fun. So like the story itself feels a little bit lighter, even though it is dealing with a murder and a murder of a kind of like an abusive jerk. But it's pretty great. You have like these weird characters that have all had their lives for the most part ruined in different ways by Trigger Keaton. So it's like it could be any of them, but I'd highly recommend. I'm gonna
Pretty
give it a 9 out of 10.
pretty great name too, Trigger
Oh
Keaton.
yeah, it's fantastic. But yeah,
Who did
no,
you
I
say
think
wrote that?
it is written by Kyle Starks and
Okay, that makes sense.
Chris Schweitzer. I think is how you say the dude's name is on the art, and his art is super familiar, but I couldn't place it, but it gives me like okay, I'm blanking on the dude's name. The dude that he does a lot of stuff that you and me aren't big fans of. Like he did a Ghost Rider book that that he did the art for that I was like, ugh. And I think he did a
Tradmore.
Silver Surf, but it's also like it's him combined. Like it makes me think like him and Andrew McLean like had a baby, and that's how this art looks. Like I'll try
See,
to
and the art, after flipping through it, is why I didn't pick it up and read
yeah.
it.
But it like that's the vibe it's giving me. Like if those two combine, so I'm like, I kind of don't like it, but I kind of do. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So I Kyle Starks wrote this comic called Sex Castle, and that's the name of the dude. His name is Sex Castle.
Nice.
And after you told me what this one is about, I'm like, it makes sense that Kyle Starks wrote this
Yeah.
because it sounds a lot like a book he'd write. And that I mean that in a good way.
Yeah. Dude, you should check it out though if you get the chance.
For sure. Okay. So I'll do Star Wars number 14 next. That was written by Charles Soule and art was done by Ramon Rosales. So yeah, Luke and Leia and Chewie and 3PO and R2 have decided that since they know that Han is going to be at this big auction thing held by the Crimson Dawn, that they're going to go and rescue him. But they need the help of Lando because Lando actually knows the Crimson Dawn people. And I know, Casey, you haven't seen the Solo movie, but we know all that because of the Solo movie, which I thought is pretty neat. It's like I'm glad that they're making that movie relevant because for some reason nobody wanted it to succeed, even though it was really good. So I'm glad that it's continuing in comic form. But anyway, they get Lando to help, and Lando's like cyborg friend Lobot, the bald guy that's got the implants on his head, if you know who I'm talking about from
Over.
Empire. And anyway, there's some stuff that has clearly happened in this book whenever I wasn't reading it involving Lando and Lobot, but it was like intriguing enough that it makes me want to go back and read it. I guess some droid scrambled Lobot's implants and made it to where he could not communicate with Lando. And so Lando's like, well, for messing with my friend, I'm going to take this robot or this droid and sell it to Jabba because it knows a language that Jabba wants to have translated. And so they wake him up and they're like, hey, you're going to be Jabba's property now. He's going to come get you. And they push him out the airlock. And as he's floating away, he's like, wait, I can help your friend. I'll show you. And he starts to like, I guess it's like Bluetooth maybe since it's in range. Lobot starts to talk to Lando, but then they get like out of distance and he loses it again. And Lando's like, crap, I need Chewie to turn the ship around so we can get the droid back because they don't know that they're doing this because clearly Luke and Leia would not like Lando doing a side deal with Jabba the Hutt while they're trying to rescue Han, right? But then Leia comes on over the comms and is like, hey, we're about to be in a star fight, so brace yourself for hyperspeed, which throws off that plan. So I think it's something that Charles Soule is going to circle back to after all this is over with. And like, it makes me want to keep reading it because it's really cool. But anyway, um, yeah. So the whole gang is just teaming up to go get Han back from this like crazy, shady auction thing. And we'll see where it goes. But it was crazy fun. I liked it. 9 out of 10.
Nice, man. I'm like I say this every time I talk about a Star Wars book, but it just makes me happy that you're enjoying a Star Wars book.
I know, man. It feels so good.
Now, so I know you talked about last week with the last issue being kind of like the filler issue with the dude, with the one dude that was, helping Chewie out. You think that actually might be referenced back later or no?
Yeah, I do think it will. Because even though it's very separate from what Charles Soule is doing, like overall, I think it'll come back around. And I don't know why I think that, but I just have this feeling.
Yeah, I got you, man. Okay, so next for me is Ultra Mega. This book, it's insane. It's by Dave Stewart on or James Herron as the creator, artist, and writer, and Dave Stewart does the art, the colors. And so, yeah, there's a new like the way the issue ended last time. The kid's like almost dead. Excuse me 1 second. I'm gonna turn off my. Yeah, so if you're on video, you could see me cough just now, but the they go to the like get a new Ultra Mega thing, but like the head Ultra Mega guy is like dead and he's got like space maggots in him that are like these giant monsters. It's disgusting. And then they combine and start fighting, but the kid's not powerful enough. And it's a whole thing. Like he gets his butt kicked a lot, like Ultra Megas do, and it ends insane. Like this is I expected one thing from this book, and it's not what I expected at all now. So like every issue, I'm just like, huh, that happened. But it's almost always like a fun, huh, that happened. It's not like a ugh, that happened type of thing. Like when I read anything by Al Ewing. So, but no, I did really enjoy this. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. It's just a good time.
The art looks so cool. I always flip through it. I have no idea what's going on in it, but I'm like, oh, this is good art, and the colors are cool.
Yeah, and in all fairness, I've read every issue and I'm still not 100% sure what's going on, but it's fun. And Dave Stewart, he is one of those like S tier colorists. I'm gonna give him that because he's one of those names that I recognize. And every time he's on it, I'm like, oh yeah, these colors are good.
All right. I'll do Norse Mythology, Volume 2, Number 1. This was written by Neil Gaiman and P. Craig Russell. And then the art was done by Matt Horick. And this is part 1 and 2 of the story of Kvasir, who is the wisest of the Norse gods. And we just see how he's created. Basically, there's 2 groups of the gods. There's the Vanir and the Aesir. And they have this big war, and they're so evenly matched that neither side can win. So they decide to call a truce. And to do that, every god from both sides spits in this big cauldron. That's just what they do, I guess. And they have this big party to celebrate. And at the end of the party, some of the gods are like, it'd be a real shame to let this pot of spit go to waste. Let's make a person out of it. So Frey and Freya, who are brother and sister, Freya just like puts her hand in the pot, stirs it around, and this man transforms out of the spit. And I guess because he has the DNA of all these gods or something and makes him really smart. He knows the answers to like almost any question that's asked of him. Well, these two nasty dwarves who are very cunning lure Kvasir back to their fortress, and they slit his throat and tie him up and bleed his blood into their big cauldron of honey, and they add the spices to it and make mead out of it. And then whoever drinks this mead just is able to like speak the most beautiful poetry ever heard. For some reason, it's just poetry mead. And so the rest of the story is them kind of tricking all these people that want to drink the mead, but they want to keep it for themselves because they don't like anybody. And then Odin's ravens catch word of this, and he is going to go and trick them. And I think that will it'll show how he does that in part 2. But it's a pretty cool read. I wasn't like crazy familiar with Kvasir's story, so it was nice to see a really cool illustrated version like this. And I loved it. I'm so glad that this is a thing. Because, you know, I've listened to podcasts and audiobooks and I've read novels on Norse mythology, but sometimes it's nice to just see it in comic form. So, especially written by Neil Gaiman, it doesn't get much better than that. Let's be real. So this was super cool. I loved it. 10 out of 10. No complaints at all.
I will say though, the one weird thing is like normally mythology, like there's a lesson. Like that's the whole, or like it's not just a lesson, it's just kind of like, oh, and that's why we have stars. And with this, it's like there's a spit guy. Want to learn poetry? Drink some mead. It's like, what?
I think there will be a lesson.
Okay.
This is just one you can't tell in 22 pages.
I got you, man. Okay, so next for me is Stillwater, and this is by Zdarsky and Ramon K. Perez. And so this is just like kind of takes out from the main story. Like the sheriff of the town had to dispose of a body, and so that's what this is. You know, it's her doing that and thinking back to her life before she moved into Stillwater. And it's real good, real interesting. Only downside is it does take out away from the main story, kind of, because it's like, you know, the whole thing, like everything that happened last time. I'm like, I want to get back to that, and this is like a separate thing. But the art in it's fantastic. This story is really cool. It's fleshing out the characters in this story. I really like Stillwater, so I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Just really like it.
I'm glad you're digging it, man.
Yeah, man. You like this is another one of those ones where it's like you really should check it out. I think you'd like it.
Yeah, I'm just not big on like spooky stuff, and everybody was like, "It's real spooky" the first like 1 or 2. So I was like,
yeah, see, I don't know if I'd ever call it spooky if I'm being personally honest. It's just it feels like something that they can easily make a show off of, but it's like no one dies in this town. That, you know, yeah, that's the basic premise. It's like this whole town is the town from Tuck Everlasting, even though that was a fountain and not a town.
Right. Well, maybe I'll pick up the trade and check it out.
That's why I would recommend that.
All right. My last one before the 2 that we read together is The Mighty Valkyries, number 3. This was written by Jason Aaron and Torren Grønbekk, and the art was done by Atea de Ulis. And then the Runa story was written by Torren Grønbekk, and the art was done by Erica Dierso. Man, I cannot believe how much I like this book. It's crazy, but it's a crazy good time. And so basically, Carnilla, who is the queen of the Norns, and the Norns weave the fates of everybody in the 9 realms. She has these 3 like god babies that I talked about last time, but they're growing like really quickly. They're going to be like, I guess, adults soon. And Carnilla is worried that something bad's going to happen to them, that they need to protect her. So she had Loki in the previous issue go talk to Jane, and Loki spun it like, I need you to protect me from my grandchildren and turn into a wolf. But really, he just stole some of her hair to give to Carnilla. And then Carnilla weaves Jane's hair into the fates of these three god babies. And now she's like, now Jane is destined to meet them, and when she does, she'll want to protect them, and that's what they need, which is crazy, but very, very like in character for Norse mythology, which is a big reason why I love this book. But anyway, then we get back to Jane fighting Craven the Hunter, who is also trying to kill the big wolf that's running around New York City. Jane convinces, well, the wolf slash grandchildren of Loki are called More, M-O-R-E. So Jane convinces More to run and to leave Craven to her. And so she fights Craven, who also tries to like kill her flying horse, because that's what Craven does. He finds these crazy creatures that are fun to hunt and tries to kill them. So anyway, it's just a big, cool fight scene with all of them, leading with ending with Craven getting away. And then we see Hela, who has found Jormungand, who was killed by Donald Blake in the Thor comics. So that's a callback that Casey gets because he read that too. Finds Jormungand's corpse down in hell and rips a tooth out of its mouth and attaches it to a stick to make this magical spear. And then she tells one of her lackeys to take the spear to Craven because his guns couldn't kill the wolf, but she promised that the spear could. So that's going to be pretty crazy later on, I think. And then the issue kind of wraps up with Jane at her regular job in the hospital. She works in the morgue. And she gets there and her boss is like, you need to get down to the morgue ASAP and take care of the lady that's in there. So she goes, and it's this lady, and she was like, hey, I had triplets inside of me. I was pregnant with them, and then they just disappeared, and I don't know where they're at, and nobody believes me. They all think I'm crazy. I'm checking all the morgues to see if they're in there. Can you help me? And that's how it ends. So there is like a whole lot going on in this issue, but it's all done very well. None of the parts feel rushed. Oh, and also the Runa stuff. She helped break that seer out of that alien planet in issue 1. And it turns out that is Kvasir, which is cool because that was in Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology this week. So lots of Kvasir.
Kvasir barely even knew her.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyway, she gets Kvasir back to his home planet and basically says, I'm just like, information is so readily available that nobody really needs to come ask me the answer to questions. They can just find out on their own nowadays. So I'm just going to stay here at home and just kind of think about what to do with myself going forward, which I thought was pretty interesting, seeing how the world has evolved since when Kvasir was Google. And anyway, he tells Runa that Jane is going to need her help. So Runa goes off to find Jane. And then the next month cover that they show in the back, I thought was super cool. Looks like Runa and Thor, question mark, are going to fight over Yarnbjorn, which is the axe.
That cover is pretty outstanding.
Yeah.
Like, who does the art for that? Is that how the interiors are too, or no?
Yes, Casey. This is the interiors.
How is that a monthly book?
I don't know. Like, look at this.
That is amazing, man.
Yeah. So like, all of this just makes this series like this is 10 out of 10 for me. I love everything about this.
That's awesome, dude. Okay, so I got 3 more books to get through, so I'll get to them really quick. The next up, though, is The Many Deaths of Layla Starr #3, and this is by Ram V and Philippe and Prada. And so, yeah, this is an interesting one. It's all told through the perspective of a cigarette, and it tells a bunch, like, it's kind of depressing, big time. And so, yeah, like, I'm not going to go too much in the story, but you're you have death just kind of live, death living her life and meeting different people and stuff. And then at the end, she finds out that the person that's going to end up putting her out of work, she finds out where he's at. And so it kind of ends with her hoping to find him and get him killed before he's old enough to end death and end her job. So, you know, this is a good issue, but it's probably the weakest one of the three so far. Like, I really love the other ones. This one I'm just like kind of liked, and like I said, kind of depressing. So I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. Wasn't my favorite, but I'm still 100% invested in this book. Like Romvey's still one of the best writers out there right now, in my opinion. He's really good.
Yeah.
Then next is Flash 771, and oh boy, there's a whole bunch of people on this book. So Jeremy Adams wrote it. Then we have Kevin Maguire, Howard Porter, Rat Pekmitsky, Brian Hitch, Max Rayner, Scott Collins, Tom Dernick, Fernando Passanari, Auclair Albert, and Brandon Peterson on the art.
Bless
And
you.
huh?
Bless you.
But this is such a fun book. He's jumping all around, does all this fun stuff, and then they kind of figure out, like, okay, so he jumps into Liberty Bell's body in this. I think you're gonna like this. I mean, it's Wally as Liberty Bell, but that's art. This art is the same art from that Justice Society book, the series that you used to like, isn't it? Because it looks
Yeah.
like it to me.
Yeah, it sure
And
does
then
look like it.
yeah, and so then like the Max Mercury is the same art from the Jeff Johns Flash days.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so like I'm not normally a big fan of like the switching of the art styles because like a lot of times it's really jarring and it just doesn't work. But this way, the Quantum Leap style, it works really well in this book because they have like when they jump to the normal world, they have their set artists, and then in all these different ones, they have different artists, and it's just great. And he meets his daughter. Then it's revealed that his son is dating Booster Beetle or Blue Gold or whatever, And I'm like, that's pretty great. That's a fun callback. And then the only downside is way it ends. Like this book would have been a 10, but they're going back to Heroes in Crisis nonsense. So I mean, I think they have to, but still, I'm like, I don't care about that terrible book. DC's not supposed to care about continuity. Get rid of it.
I know.
But I'm still gonna give it a 10 out of 10 because I really love it. Like I'm surprised by how much I've been loving this book after that first issue being so bad.
I know. It makes me wish I'd have stuck with it. Real
Same.
quick though, what does Kevin Maguire do in that book?
So I'm almost positive he does the Super Friends stuff.
Yeah, that definitely looks like him. That's awesome.
Yeah, because that's how the last issue ends. And so like the Super Friends stuff is a ton of fun. He's Reverse Flash in this, and he's like trying to convince Superman to help him, but it's still very Super Frenzy. And yeah, it's pretty great. And that's the majority of the universe that Flash is in, and this time it's a good one. So then my last book, and I talked about this already, The Friend of the Devil by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. These Reckless books are so dang good. It's like this is the best way to read Ed Brubaker. And so like, and this is in the 80s, which is like the best time for like gritty, pulpy stuff, in my opinion. And so yeah, he meets this girl, and they're like very much in love, like, or very much in lust. They're hanging out, they like each other a lot, they're sleeping together and all this other stuff. And then they're watching movies together because he owns a movie theater, and watching all these old movies. And she walks in on one of the old movies and she freaks out, and he's like, what's wrong? Turns out this extra was her sister or her stepsister. And so he's like, what? And so then she's like, we never knew what happened to her. So like, you're really good at finding stuff out. Could you maybe find out what happened to her? So then that's how he gets right into this. There's like weird cults, there's Nazis, like old school original Nazis, new school neo Nazis. Um, they aren't the good guys, so they lose. So that's great. Um, lots of great stuff. There's heartbreak, there's sadness. It's just so good. And the next one of the Reckless books comes out in October. And I apologize, Jake, but that's a gift you're not going to be able to get me because I'm going to get it for myself because this is one of the best books that I'm reading right now. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10.
Nice, man. I will definitely get to those eventually. They're my to read stack, as you know, never goes away.
Yeah,
They're in there somewhere.
mine too, but like these always go on the top of the stack. And I was like, it kind of upset me because like I read most of that on the flight to Daytona, but and I was like, I'm not gonna read it, while we're supposed to be doing things. But like my mind kept going to, I'm like, what the heck is his girlfriend setting him up? Like, does she know more than what? And like all these other thoughts are in my head. And so like on the plane ride, I open it up. The girlfriend was sleeping. I was opening up reading it, and then I'm like, oh, that was so good.
Really glad you're digging it. All
So
right.
I'll take point on Catwoman. Let you do Static because I know you're more excited about Static.
Sure.
All right. So Catwoman number 32, and this is by Ram V with Evan Cagle on the art. And so basically you have these different people telling different stories about Catwoman, and I really liked it. What did you think?
I thought it was great. Especially the art. Like the art
Yeah,
was so cool.
I
Um,
agree.
like the scene where, spoiler alert, a past fling of Selena's dies, but like the red panels down there, I thought were like, especially here on the end, like the art is
Mm-hmm.
just so good.
Yeah. Now the art's fantastic. Like the only downside to this book, and it's really this series as a whole, has nothing to do really with anything besides the fact that this main character looks so lame.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, this is just outstanding.
Yeah. I mean, we get to see why Catwoman is taken as seriously as she is. Like she's
Mm-hmm.
smart and she's a good fighter. And it's just nice to see that. It's nice to see somebody outsmart their villain rather than just throw kicks and she wins the day.
Yeah, and I will add in too, like I'll say this about a lot of different characters and writers and stuff, where it's like, yeah, they don't get the character, and I don't know enough about Catwoman to be like, nah, he's nailing it. But I will say, like from the little I know, this is exactly how she should be. At least in my head, this is how she should be. Where like the part where she doesn't get revenge on the person that got her lover killed. It she 100 she could have killed him, but she didn't want to. She just wanted to prove that she could steal from him, which it's like that's how she should be. That's fantastic. So I mean, the only other Catwoman that I really read and was really invested in was the Darwin Cook Catwoman that he had written. So I'm not gonna say like I'm an expert, but this is how she should be written in my opinion, and it's pretty great.
Agreed. Score?
I'd say it's a 9 out of 10 for me.
That's where I'm at with the two. Okay. Static season 1, number 1. And let's see, this was written by Beta Ayala, and the art was done by Chris Cross, I think. I've got my digital copy pulled up because
Oh, okay.
but anyway, I think that's correct. Um, but yeah, anyway, I thought this was really awesome. What did you think, Casey?
I liked it. Okay, it didn't blow me away. The art in it is really cool, but and I think part of the main problem with this is just the fact that he's dealing with stuff that some crazy stuff, but he's very angsty, and I just get kind of tired of the angst at times where and you can be like, well, it's justified. I'm like, it might be, but still.
I just think you're reading too many books where the characters are angsty. Because
Yeah,
I'm
that too.
not, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I totally get it.
Yeah,
But I liked it. I think it's neat to see him go through this stuff and to see like how his family's changing after the Big Bang, and which is what they call everybody getting their powers. And then that final fight with Flamehead guy, whose name I'm blanking on, and spoiler alert, burns down their house. Like that was a crazy ending.
yeah. No, I agree, man. Such a jerk move.
It is. And I mean, that never would have happened in the show, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
this is like the big kid version. So I'm really, really invested in where it's going. And just all these titles. I think next week is Rocket and Icon, maybe. I know it's one of the new ones,
yeah,
but anyway, I'm liking the universe that they're building here, and the art was crazy awesome. I love the colors. Like the colors are very vibrant, and it goes well with it. Seeing all the fire and electricity and stuff, it's just really cool. So,
yeah.
um, so yeah, I love this book.
Nice, man. I'm glad. What would you rate it?
Um, probably another 9, I think.
All right. Yeah, for me, like I said, the angst was a bit too much because there's times where he's just like freaking out on people, like over literally nothing. He's kind of being a jerk at times, and that's always annoying to me. But like Jake said, the art is outstanding, and so that kind of outweighs most anything else. Like I would read more just art by because this team because like it's not just like it's weird how they label the art in this because like I found it because it's Crisscross did the layouts, but then finishes and color by Nicholas Draper Ivy. So I don't know what the finishes means at all.
I think Crisscross storyboarded it, and then Draper Ivy like did the work
Oh, okay.
because we've read stuff by Crisscross and it was not this art.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, so like the art in it is outstanding. It's like it's high up there. Like it's worth reading this book just for that, in my opinion. So like, and I do think he's gonna get over the angsty bull crap that he has going right now. So like that alone has me interested enough to keep reading. So I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10, but there's a lot of potential for it to be better.
yeah. All right. And then what are we excited for next week?
I am finding okay, there it is. So my first one that I'm gonna say is Batman Reptilian. This should be a lot of fun because we talked about it earlier with Liam Sharp, Garth Ennis. Not much can go wrong there. Should be a great time. Um, I'm gonna say, oh, there was another one that I was like, oh, this is a easy. Oh, Silk #4. Been loving Silk. Think it's weird that I'm saying that because never thought I would, but it's great stuff. And then I'll say Infinite Frontier #1. What about you, dude?
Infinite Frontier is up there for me too, but just to give 3 different ones, I will say Mr. Miracle, Source of Freedom #2. Um, Man, was there not another milestone book? Or am I missing it? I might have left it off the list on accident. I'm pretty sure Rocket and Icon is out, in which case I'm going to say that. And then, oh, where was it? I just saw the last one. Probably Robin. Robin and Wonder Woman are like on equal footing for me as books that I like. So either one of those. But there's like a lot of stuff that I want to read coming out this week. So
Yeah, that's for sure, man. And like, I'm really torn. I'm gonna have to look at my list and see how many comics I have because it's like I may end up getting Gamma Flight and hating it, but we'll see.
dude,
Because
sometimes we need that angry shake your fist at a book review, you know?
it's not even that. It's just like I'm like I have this like hope that is not gonna happen, but I'm like maybe if I buy this, they'll see that people want an Alpha Flight book and they'll do it, but I know they won't. Like I know that's not gonna happen, but I'm hopeful.
If they would just say it's going to be a mini series, here's your arc, that would be great. We did
Yeah,
like stop trying to say it's an ongoing because we all know it's not. It's not
just
a John Byrne book.
just do an ongoing. Just do it an ongoing the same way they do Shang-Chi as an ongoing. Give us 6 issues and then say, "Oh, it's over," and then wait a couple months and have a new #1 come out. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. I think it's time for Fantastic Four, right?
It is.
Okay, so I've just been hearing more and more and stuff about the Discovery merger and all that different stuff that's going on there. And I was just thinking, how fun would it be if we could get like Discovery type shows, like, since they own Food Network and HGTV and all that stuff too. If like you get those shows combined with comic book related themes, so like, or even like, DC comics or just comic book stuff in general, I just think that'd be fun. But why don't you pitch me 4 shows like I'm the head of Discovery.
Okay. So, do you know, does DC have like a damage control like Marvel does?
I don't think so, but I think they should. That makes perfect sense.
Okay, because I was thinking they have a show called Fixer Upper, but it should be
Yeah,
like damage control Fixer Upper. Like
I
some
mean, I'm all.
catastrophe happens in Gotham or Metropolis, and then this team comes in and it's an HGTV show, you know?
Yeah, and then we could have Joker and he could kill Joanne and Chip. I don't like those
Exactly.
guys.
Better not tag them on any of the posts for this
Yeah.
episode. And then there's a show called Worst Cooks in America. I think they could do one called Worst Comics in America. Just an idea. We could be the
Yeah.
hosts. There's plenty of books we don't like.
I mean,
Lots of material there.
have you watched Worst Cooks?
No.
Lovely Bree will watch together sometimes. And so basically they take these terrible cooks and they make them better. So how fun would it be if the host was like Mark Wade, and I'm trying to think of like another, like a really good like old school writer, another like
Like
old
Neil
school,
Gaiman.
right? Yeah, Neil Gaiman. He's way too busy, but it's those two guys, and they just then will be
James
like,
Robinson.
there we go, and they then just have to work with these, terrible comic book writers, make them better.
So Al Ewing and Tom King.
There we go.
See, we just pitched the pilot right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about it.
All
I think,
right.
how many more you got left now?
Two.
Okay.
Now, this one I don't know what it's about, but there's a show called Love It or List It. But I think we could change it to Love It and Pull List It. So it's just books we like and what should be on your
Yeah.
pull list.
Yes, that shows like people will get like they'll have a house and like they have people fix it up, and then they're like, "Do you want to love it and keep it forever or sell it?" And then they're like, sell it." And
Okay.
so I mean, I still like the name a lot though.
Yeah, you know. And then finally, 6 Degrees with Mike Rowe and Dark Side. And it's the same show, but also Dark Side is there.
I can dig it. I don't know what 6 Degrees is, but I would watch that version of it.
So it's just like Mike Rowe with, going around seeing how people do their jobs.
Oh, okay.
So it's just that, but also Darkseid is there too, and like, you know, fishing waders or plumbing gear.
No, I'm all about that, man.
So there we go. What about you, man?
So the first one that always comes to my thought would be diners, drive-ins, dives, and comic book shops. And that'd be, Guy Fieri. He'd be, going someplace, looking at the local foods, and then he stops at the comic book shop afterwards. He probably doesn't wash his hands. Like, he's got them like covered in like wing sauce. He's like, hey, let me look at this comic. And you're like, oh no, please don't. And he still touches all the stuff, and he's just his crazy self. But at the same time, you're like, I know he's insane. I kind of like him.
This
And
comic is gangster.
yeah. And then like you have one comic about eggs that he won't read, but and then like I don't know, because I don't know, and that was basically how I was going off this premise, was off of that one.
Yeah.
But just different stupid stuff like that. There's I think like having like those people, like if we had Guy Fieri do diners, drive-ins, and dives comic books, so like he could be in like Booster Gold's restaurant in an issue of Booster Gold. That'd be a lot of fun. I think a whole line of HGTV centered people and Food Network people crossing over, doing crossover comics, like how they had the Hanna-Barbera comics.
Mhm.
It'd be way less high stakes than the other, but it'd be a lot of fun.
It would
And make
be.
about as much sense as Deathstroke and Yogi Bear.
Right.
So, be a good time.
I
But
like it.
yeah, we ought to
All right.
pitch that to him too.
I know we should. All right, folks. I think that brings us to the end of this week's episode. So let's do the closing plugs. If you would, please go to facebook.com/2worldspodcast and give the page a like. You can also find us on Twitter at 2_worlds_PC and on Instagram at 2worldspod. You can email us at 2worldspodcast@gmail.com. And also, please go to our YouTube and subscribe to our channel, like our videos, comment on the videos, all that good stuff. And please, if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, review us 5 stars wherever you're listening. We would really appreciate it.
And we'd love to stay in chat, but we gotta stop this crazy T1000 from murdering Jake and making sure that the robot uprising happens. I don't know. Their time travel doesn't make any sense. Bye, guys.
Bye.